other than the ordinance controversy, is there another example? I mean, the ordinance is a very well documented when Rahul Gandhi tears up a law passed by the Manmohan Singh government. His own mother has been part of the meeting. This is, of course, an ordinance that basically gives a new lease of political life to Lalu Yadav. Much water has flown under the Ganga since then. You say that Manmohan Singh told you Rahul Gandhi apologized. Is there another example you would give of the Congress not giving him his due?
I think it was in the optics of the situation also. For instance, he contested the Lok Sabha elections in 1999 and he lost. He lost because of sabotage from within the Congress. When you travel during elections, Dr. Manmohan Singh's meetings did not have the kind of backing and mobilization. You could see, hundreds of chairs lying there, and people were not mobilized to come and attend it. So those kind of optics of the situation. But as I say, he navigated it with great grace. Yeah. And when I say, you see, when I said, to you that the way he responded to the title of my chapter on him, an underrated prime minister who triumphed, because this was something that really probably rankled with him. And very often, he threatened to resign. And Sonia Gandhi would immediately rush to him to persuade him not to do that because he was the best bet for her and she for him. And the fact that he, the record, impressive growth figures in his first term as prime minister went side by side with the rights-based approach of the laws that they enacted: right to information, right to work, right to education, right to food, all that. That was a safety net that they built. So they were complementary in many ways. But optics-wise, yes, he could have, been given his due much more than I think he was given.
Let me bring in Dilip here. Dilip, let's talk about the Indo-US nuclear deal in particular, when Neerja says that he asserted himself as a consummate politician, but also as his own person. How do you look back at that moment? How do you look back at that moment when he was willing to risk his all, his everything to make that possible? I mean, he was basically willing to lose power if he had to choose, and he, as Neerja points out, managed everything, organized everything.
I was not writing books or anything, but the one time I chatted to him about this, the thing he said very clearly was his feeling that India needed to be outside of the Russian influence, which was the history that we had been carrying as far as nuclear power was concerned. And we needed to be seen as a country that could invest legitimately, visibly, and very enthusiastically in nuclear power for the people of the country. It was not about arms. That was the point he was making. But, just as Nalini has has hinted that the media will turn sour from this moment of fulsome praise, the possibility of that, my sense is that the speed with which Rahul Gandhi has tweeted is the official, in a sense, closing of the box of tearing up the ordinance. Because for Rahul Gandhi measures each of these kinds of statements he makes. And to call Manmohan Singh a mentor shows that here is a man who clearly had his respect, even if he showed petulance at that point of time. So I think Manmohan's story will probably never be told because there are many such things which only he and the person involved in it were privy to. But just like the media has a strong sense of guilt of having misjudged him over the years, and therefore this outpouring of affection, respect, and almost close to veneration that I haven't seen for a prime minister in recent times. The reason is that people know that they did wrong by him. And I think that feeling is what is very strong today. And coming back to your nuclear question, I think Dr. Singh had more abilities to understand how the American establishment worked. and bringing in the Samajwadi and all was part of the local politics. But he also knew this was the one global moment when he could get what he wanted from the Americans and receive what he needed at that point of time.
Nalini, let me bring you in. I mean, Neerja kind of agrees that the Congress did not give Dr. Manmohan Singh his due. But if you were to look back and think about what you think was Dr. Manmohan Singh's greatest achievement, I think Dilip spoke about it being economic reforms. Somebody else may mention the Indo-US nuclear deal. If you had to think of him as a technocrat and politician or a consummate politician, I mean, how would you describe him?
Barkha, just before that, let me just respond to what Dilip is saying about the media and what happens tomorrow. If the powers that be that are actually guiding or even driving the media discover that a little bit of the gold dust from today, from the praise for Dr. Manmohan Singh, is going to land on the Congress party, you please be sure that this will be something which is undermined, this affection and this admiration that we have for a truly one of the great Indians of our times. This admiration will start eroding, and as I said tomorrow morning, metaphorically, if it is going to accrue to the Congress party's positive balance. This is what we have come to, and this is what Dr. Manmohan Singh could not deal with. Let me the example that I'd like to give you. You know, when you are talking about whether he was about the nuclear deal, whether he was his own person, he was his own person after 26/11. And Barkha, you were a part of it. You were reporting from Bombay, and you know what was going on. And the government was, in a way, its reputation was in tatters. That it wasn't strong enough to do anything to retaliate against Pakistan, etc. So the pressure, I think, was there for not weeks but months. Dr. Manmohan Singh did not do it. The BJP's trolls up to today talk about it, bring it up, and say that 26/11 Pakistan walked in and Dr. Manmohan Singh just sat with his hands like this and did nothing and welcomed them in a way. I mean, in these snarky comments. But actually, Dr. Manmohan Singh was his own man. He was playing what I would call he was trying to achieve, and he did, the long-term goal of strategic alignment in South Asia. And we are benefiting from it even today. If we had gone retaliated, there would be another war with Pakistan, etc. We would win. But look at the cost. Look at the reputational damage that it would have caused us. Instead of that, Dr. Manmohan Singh wanted a strategic alignment with South Asia, which he achieved. This was the person, this would be another example after the nuclear deal of his quiet, thwarting or ignoring or getting humiliated by the press, by the pressure, by the BJP, by the opposition, up to, if I may say, his dying day. But he did not relent. And we, if we could reflect on that this is the person, actually, it was his conceptual version of what India's future is going to be. That is what formed the reforms and whatever happened in the 10 years of his prime ministership. But we allowed it, we meaning the polity of India. The opposition, as I've hinted, the Congress party did not understand what an asset they had. They allowed this conceptual vision to collapse. And once it collapsed, Dr. Manmohan Singh's the reputation is supposed to have collapsed. But it didn't collapse.
Yeah.
Inside we know.
Yeah. Yeah. Neerja, let me give you the last word. You described Dr. Manmohan Singh to be the great unifier, at least in this moment of his passing. When you met with him in 2023, and as you said, he loved the title of the chapter in your book on him and, about how an underrated prime minister had triumphed. Did you find him to be bitter or full of hurt, or had he made peace with the fact that there was a phase in his life when he'd been judged in this ruthless way, but he was he was at peace, he was comfortable in his own skin? Or did he seem embittered and hurt?
No, I think when I saw him, I was quite struck. He sat in that chair. He was all there. He spoke very, very softly. You had to, strain to make out what he was saying. I wouldn't say he was bitter when I said to him, why don't you now give a full interview about how you've seen things? Look at your past, the good and the bad. Speak for the future, for the Congress party, for the BJP. And he was not, he did not want to say anything negative about the Congress party, which could create a controversy or, which would have a negative fallout for his own party. So till the end, he did not want to do that, even though it would have got eyeballs and, headlines and that kind of thing. And I think, just responding to what Nalini has said, I think, like with Ambedkar, you can't compare people, who's become more and more of an icon after his death with every year that passes. It's possible that Dr. Manmohan Singh may become more iconic after his death than he was during his life.
And that, in a way, is sad because one should be appreciated when you're alive. But it's also about legacy. And I think Manmohan Singh was always sure that his legacy would be intact. And when there was when you step back, sometimes you're too close to something to see it clearly. But when you step back and you see the full picture, then you see a more complete, rounded person. And definitely, I have to say, as a journalist, the one thing we don't give him credit for, he never stopped engaging with the media. Even when we criticized him, we were so merciless to him, so often, so critical, and he continued to talk and he continued to engage. And that is a rare entity in any political party. One has to acknowledge that.